In this video I'm going to give you my very first impressions on the MAXXIS RAZR MT 772s in a 33-inch 12.5 by 15-inch tyre size, which is fitted to the Toyota Bandera here. Now, these are literally my first impressions. I've driven one day of wheeling and a bunch of road work, less than 1,000 kilometres, so it's very raw information. Here at Mad 4 Drive, I'm all about educating and building the four-wheel drive community so we can wheel well. I'd love it if you'd hit that subscribe button and then hit the bell so you can get the notifications. So the way this came about was I needed a set of tyres for this car really desperately. The MTZs that I'd been running were hard, they were worn out, they were absolutely done and dusted, and it was time to try a tyre that I've never tried before. So a few of my mates are running these tyres on their four-wheel drives. Generally they're running 35s. That's a tyre that's a little bit too big for this. So I've gone, well, I'll go down to the tyre shop. I have a chat to the mates down there at Tyre Power in Dural, my local store, and I had a chat to them and I said, guys, this is what I want you to order in for me. And I said to them at the same time, do you reckon you could get me a little bit of a media discount because of what I do here at Mad 4 Drive? So they rang the rep. Now, unbeknownst to me, the rep knew me, as in knows who I am and what I do. And he's gone, look guys, absolutely, straight off the bat, I can give Matt the media discount. But because of what he does, and we know, you know, who he is, we'd actually like to take this a bit further. So he escalated it to the top of the chain here at MAXXIS Australia. And they came on board and said, Matt, have a set of tyres. We'd like to see you run them, see what you think. So just all of that story so that you know how this is rolling. So they have not told me what I can say. I can tell you that these tyres are rubbish if that's what I think. I don't, okay? They're black and they're round, so they're just doing a great job. Okay, so let's get into this a little bit. That noise in the background is the dogs who are chasing a lizard in the bush there, so don't worry about that. So these tyres are, they're for somebody who wants that off-road experience. If you're going to do most of your work on road, maybe this sort of mud tyre isn't going to work for you. But the first impression on the on-road side was, for a mud tyre, they're not very noisy. Generally speaking, a mud tyre and the tyres I've run in the past are noisy. And generally as they wear, they get noisier. I can't comment on that. Like I say, brand new tyre. Tyre pressure. Everyone said to me, you'll need to air them down quite a bit. So I've been running the MTZs at around the 14 PSI mark. Based on other people's advice, I went down to 11 PSI straight away. That was certainly an excellent starting pressure. Now what people have been telling me as well is that these tyres, when you first fit them, they don't bag very well. They do okay, but they're going to bag better as time goes on. So they don't do that so well initially, but once they've been run a bit, I guess the sidewall and the construction of the tyre just gets more supple and they start to bag extremely well. These, even though they're brand new, they bag really, really well for me, and I was totally happy with them compared to what I was used to. So if they're going to get better again, wow, that's going to be quite impressive. The wheeling I did yesterday was some pretty hard lines in some of our local tracks, and you know, we really tested things out there. Now, with regards to holding the mud in the tyre tread, and I'm going to show you on the spare, but they cleaned really well. I wasn't doing mud. I try to avoid mud for the most part because, I mean, sometimes you need to go through it, but I don't go looking for it because all it does is cost me money in brakes and parts. So I tend to avoid it. So I can't comment on that, but we were dealing with like a loamy, sandy type soil, and it certainly has characteristics where it can clog your tyres up and make your mud tyre slick. These didn't do that, and I'm going to show you why I think that's the case when I get up the back there to the spare tyre. So they certainly stayed clean all day, and a little bit of a blip on the throttle, and they'd, you know, if there was any mud in there, they'd clean out just like that. So they certainly worked well in that regard. All right. Now one of the things which was totally random and kind of, well, I've got to learn to drive the car again. Because I've got so much traction in the tyre, I kept stalling it. You see, I've been running the old tyres, so I knew where my stall points were and how much preemptive throttle to put in before a rock step and all that. And most of the time I drive without a stalling issue. Keeping in mind this is a 3.8 V6, so it's got enough power there, and it's very low geared at 5:9 diff ratio. So I kept stalling it yesterday. And why I was doing that was because I think I have so much traction, I could dig into the surface and you know, if the vehicle had the traction, so if it didn't have the power, it just would stall and wouldn't go there. So all day I was recalibrating my throttle response and my preemptive throttle response so that I could get up the obstacles, because I had the traction there where normally I was used to wheel spin and so on. So that was really quite interesting. When I was driving down the dirt road to go into the place, you could hear the rocks coming and hitting up inside the mud guards and all of that. And one of the features they say about these tyres is that they're self-clearing. So yeah, they're self-clearing. So rocks must be getting caught in the tread here and then getting flicked up under the vehicle and stuff. Was it excessive? Was it a problem? No, but you know, it just said to me it wasn't holding the rocks in the tyre tread. And through the day I never sort of looked at the tyre and went, oh, there's a rock stuck in there, and picked it out or anything like that. So so that was an interesting thing. Come and have a look down here. Bring the camera around that side there. Come down, I want to show you something happened here. So see this tread block here. So this was really quite interesting to me, and I wish I'd got video, but at the time I was on my own and didn't get it. Silly me. But see how it's all roughed up and that. So what was happening, I was on a very sharp ironstone rock ledge that was coming out like this. And the tyre was coming in and then rubbing itself under that. Now, just take the camera back a bit and I'll show you in the actual, this area here. So this is the rock shelf was coming in here, and so the tyre's rotating against that rock shelf, and these lugs are just getting absolutely hammered by that rock shelf, because I had both lockers in, the front's pulling the tyre into the rock shelf. This tyre was deforming like that around the rock shelf. Like half the profile depth was getting wrapped around this and ripped, and that's the condition of those lugs. Like, I would have expected lugs to have been ripped off, and they've just marked. So quite impressed with that. I wish I'd got video, because without video it didn't happen. Is that right? So come around here. I want to give you some thoughts as to why I think some of this tyre design is working. So if you look at the tread blocks, you can see how they're kind of tapered in like this. See how they're not sharp vertical edges, they're tapered in. Now, something I know a lot of the rock crawling guys do is they wear their tyres in. So they'll go and buy a brand new set of tyres, and they intentionally go and burn them in on a rock. What they're looking to do is cut away the leading edge of the tread block, because then when that tread block comes against the rock, you've actually got more effective rubber on there. Rubber is traction. So I think what MAXXIS has done is understood that principle, and they've incorporated that thinking into these tread blocks. That's why one reason why they have that taper in the tread block. The other reason is, if you think of your garbage bin, or we call them wheelie bins here in Australia, they're always tapered. So the bottom's always narrower than the top. And that's so the rubbish doesn't stick inside the bin when it dumps into the truck. Okay? Same principle. It's tapered so that rocks can be ejected out of it. That's a good thing. And why mud doesn't stick in there is because of that tapering effect. So that's what I think's going on. Anyway, guys, my first impression is, compared to the worn-out mud tyres I was running, these are a vast improvement. Having said that, just about any tyre would have been a vast improvement. I can't wait to do more wheeling with them. So I am going to come back to you at some point in time, hopefully not too long away, maybe in the next 6 months, with what I'm going to call a long-term review. But I certainly want to come back to you with a review where I've used these on a wide variety of different terrains. Unfortunately, snow is unlikely to be in that, because right now while we're filming this, it's 38 degrees Celsius. It'll be sand, it'll be rock, probably a lot of rock and stuff like that. So I'm really keen to give you that long-term review. So that means if you're not already subscribed, you need to subscribe so you can get the notifications of the channel. I'd love you to put your comments down below and tell us what you think. Have you run these tyres? Do you think there's a better tyre on the market? Do you think that these are the best on the market for this sort of category of a road-going mud tyre? Look, we can all get into Treps and all those other sort of competition-style tyres, but for something of this calibre, I'd love to know your thoughts. I'm Mad Matt. Stay safe on the trails.